Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning into another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, of course, the shout out to our sponsors that have helped us bring the show to you for free on whatever platform you choose to listen for quite some time now. Over 200 episodes, as you know. Thanks to Angelo's Pizza. It's delicious. It's wonderful. If you live anywhere near the Lakewood, Ohio area, you can get Angelo's Pizza for takeout delivery, or they are doing some limited socially distant seating in their dining room area as well. Thanks to a host of people who've helped us throughout the years: Pollyanna DIY, Thrift Store Jobber, Peptide Treatment. We still don't even know.
Paul Greer.
Of course, the mysterious benefactors, the Goldsteins.
Which I do have to bring this up because I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know what their expectation is. Mm-hmm. They said they would like to sponsor an AIW holiday special podcast, which I don't know what we're supposed to do because I think the holidays are canceled.
Do they want to? All right. I'll get into that here in a second.
We're gonna have to come up with a whole holiday extravaganza.
I have a general idea of because
They
have talked to me about this many times, but also of course thanks to Smart Mark Video and IndependentWrestling.tv. The merger of Smart Mark Video and IWTV it's never been easier to watch AIW. You can go to smartmarkvideo.com, purchase anything from the AIW archive, and watch it on DVD or MP4. And of course, if you signed up for independentwrestling.tv, use the code ABSOLUTE and get a 5-day free trial. And there is a rotating AIW archive there, which now includes Thunder in Indianapolis, our show from the collective weekend back in October. So watch that. That show, of course, includes the no ropes barbed wire match between Joshua Bishop, the challenger, with Wes Barkley in his corner, taking on the Absolute Intense champion Matthew Justice with Fonzie in his corner.
They also, if you go, like if you're an old school person like myself and you go to IWTV on an actual desktop computer or a laptop computer, you can also get to the IWTV Shop, which is a somewhat new addition to the IWTV brand, so to speak. And they have official AIW merchandise for sale at shopiwtv.com. They have a nice pullover hoodie and a couple t-shirts in there, classic designs. But yeah, I mean, we're just trying to figure out how to make money because we got nothing going on. So please take advantage.
Well, there you go. This week's episode, of course, as always, AIW owner John Thorne, you just heard there. My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts. And what are you drinking there? Cherry 7-Up?
Zero sugar cherry 7-Up.
I didn't know they had such a thing.
Me either, but you know,
I'll have to get on that. Well,
trying to tighten up the diet for this Josh Bishop dog collar match he keeps calling me out for.
All right, don't be throwing these things out there, Thorne. You know that's going to get people excited. The fact that you even gave that any sort of time on this podcast
That's the only time it's ever going to get.
This week's episode, we're just going to talk around about a lot of things. Let's start with this Goldstein holiday special. They have brought this up to me multiple times. And as we sit here, of course,
I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. And I was like, what? You want to sponsor what?
As we record here, of course, from the Paul Greer Studios, this concept is like, remember when you used to watch old school WWF and it'd be like around the holidays and they'd show things backstage like Thanksgiving and stuff, and it always ends up in a food fight. Like you got Duggan back there and all. This is basically what they want, is a hodgepodge of AIW stars and us and celebrating the holidays, and there's gag gifts And
jeez.
you know what I mean? For some, like,
This seems like a multimedia operation. You know, I don't know if this is podcast. I don't know if this is podcasting. This is like
yeah, that's not podcasting. But I think that they want it, maybe streamed live on Facebook. Or something. So
there's no way that's happening.
That's the idea that they gave me. I don't know what they want in terms of a holiday podcast. I guess that would be a holiday podcast. I think would be.
All I got to tell you is the last time AIW people got together to celebrate a holiday, it didn't turn out too good recently. So I don't know if this is such a good idea.
I think that they were hoping it would be more like the 4th of July holiday spectacular podcast that we had.
I don't even know how many local stars are left after Thanksgiving recently. So we may need to reevaluate this or something. I don't know.
So we'd have to book people.
Things. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of tension in the air in the Cleveland territory lately. So we'll just leave it at that. But it might be just me and you. Me, you, and I don't know.
If Faye Jackson's in town, we could have Faye on here. She's trying to get canceled anyway, so she would love that opportunity, I'm sure.
And this sounds like a whole get us canceled thing. We can't be getting all these people together. Like, do you understand just the grief that would be commented on if we were streaming live with the holiday spectacular? I don't know.
It would have to be
like trouble.
It would have to be a scripted thing.
For the first time in my life, I may need to turn some money down. I don't know if we could pull this off.
We would have to script this. It would have to be a scripted,
I don't know,
pre-shot thing that we plan out, and everybody we make sure is safe and tested ahead of time or whatever. We would have to.
I don't know.
We couldn't just do a live thing.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of red tape to cut through in this thing, and we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know.
What kind of money are we talking here?
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if you could pay enough money to get all of us together anyway right now. There's just a lot of
we're gonna have some booking issues here, folks.
A lot of tense things going on in the holidays around Cleveland. So
not me. I'm feeling good. Not a part of it.
Yeah. Well, just I don't know, man.
My dad, along with many dads, always had a saying when we were growing up: nothing good happens after 3 a.m. You don't have to be out really late, and sometimes it was nothing good happens after midnight. So that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, there's people already going to be asking too many questions. I've said too much already. You gotta wait for the book.
Speaking of the Goldsteins, Josh Goldstein went to, I don't know, some sort of con or something recently. Saw Danny Doring and Pitbull.
Roadkill.
Why the hell did I just say Pitbull? It's a terrible flub. Roadkill. and Danny Doring says that the man we refer to as Uncle Guido thinks of you as an uncle.
That's so weird. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
There's like 20,
how am I his uncle?
There's like 20 years between you guys.
All right, I guess just call me Uncle John from now on.
You are you are Guido's Uncle John, and but he's Uncle Guido to the rest of us somehow. I guess is how that works out. I don't know.
Josh Goldstein got me a Doring and Roadkill autograph 8x10 though. He's gonna mail to me, so I'll take that. That's pretty cool.
That is really cool, dude. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
Roadkill looks like he looks very similar. Yeah, like a little bit bigger. He's put on some weight, but he looks still very. His facial hair is gray, but he still looks very similar to how he did back then. And meanwhile, Danny Doring is massive.
He looks like a power lifter.
Yeah, and I don't mean massive like this guy got fat, folks.
He's been hitting the weights.
Yeah, real hard. Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he went to this store, the Wrestling Universe. They usually have people in for signings and stuff like that. So, but yeah, he sent that in the AIW Discord, which you can become a member of if you sign up for our Patreon. The $5 level gets you into the Discord. There's all sorts of things discussed in there that probably shouldn't be discussed, and the Duke is always yelling at me that I'm exposing too much. So
he's not wrong. He is not wrong.
But yeah, I don't know. Things are there's nothing to talk about, you know? Like it's so weird, but I feel okay about it.
All right. I mean, there's always some good chatter in there. The usual suspects in the Discord usually keep conversation going, and there's always some fun stuff. Shout out to our guy A Rose.
Oh, he's always getting people all wound up in there.
Always asking questions.
Except for today, I said, "Hey, what do you guys want us to talk about on the podcast?" Nobody had anything really to. Nothing at all. So
hopefully, if the people that are listening to this, let us know about this holiday special and what you would want and anticipate. Do you want just a holiday podcast, or do you want a full-fledged multimedia AIW holiday special?
I'm putting the kibosh on this multimedia operation.
You're gonna have to dress like Santa.
No, I would never do that.
And what about just the hat?
I'm not a big holiday guy. I'm not too big on it.
You and Tom Dunn, as we found out in the Discord.
Because my birthday's this month. I'm just getting older. It's not exciting anymore. It's like I just wasted an entire year of my life pretty much. So, like, it's just, that would be something that would be good if, we can just eliminate this year from aging, like they just take it off the books, because it just didn't matter.
I thought about the same thing. Like, I turned 36 at the beginning of this shutdown, and I didn't get to enjoy it at all.
You got nothing really out of it, You just got to. So I think that maybe everyone just stays the same age.
It's just a number,
for the next year, and then we turn the clock back on when the world opens up.
We pretend like 2020 didn't happen. We just skip it, like hotels that don't have floor 13.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It seems like all the COVID stuff's been going on for such a long time, but it also just feels like it hasn't been at the same time.
Because we've been doing nothing.
Yeah, it's just like every day just runs together. It's strange.
Yeah, a lot of I don't know. A lot of old wrestling being watched, like, as with this being a wrestling podcast. Like, I think part of me thinks that some of AEW and WWE, this whole ratings thing, and why they think people aren't watching as much of them as they would, is potentially because people have been at home at this point and they're like, I got time to watch all this really old stuff I always wanted to.
I don't know. Maybe just people aren't watching that much wrestling to begin with. It could go a zillion different ways, Like,
it is still so weird with no crowd.
I hadn't logged into the WWE Network in such like a long time. I couldn't even remember my password because if you don't use it for months, like, just TV will log you out. And it took me forever to even remember what my password was. I had to like reset everything, but now I'm trying to get my brain, into like the mode of let's get wrestling, still cooking around in my head, because we did the two shows in September and October. And now, even like the collective feels like it was like a week ago, but it's been 2 months ago already.
Yeah.
It's, it's going to be December 7th when this comes out. What day was the collective show? It was like October
9th or 10th. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2 months ago already.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And, but I feel like we're kind of possibly approaching some normalcy. So I was like, all right, I gotta get my brain going again. So I put the network, I got the network back going, and I watched that Survivor series, which was so fucking weird.
Wait, let me ask you something about this. This is on my mind now. Speaking of that, because the Undertaker thing was, I know that's what we're talking about. That's really weird. The whole end, they bring all these guys out here. But I've been thinking about this, and I know you hate putting him over, but not in terms of character, but in terms of longevity and everything else. Is the Duke the closest thing that we have to the Undertaker?
I don't think so. I don't think
you know
so.
what I mean? In terms of being around for so long and part of AIW.
He's never been celebrated. Like, he's never been celebrated for being around. Like, the Duke is like Michael Cole. He's like the Michael Cole of AIW. Like, he's been there forever and nobody gives a shit.
Because I'm just thinking, would you have
the Duke, the Undertaker? Come on, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have that person, do we? If you really had to think back, do we have that person?
Probably not, honestly.
I mean, I guess if we were going to, it's someone that's already gone on to bigger things. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, if Gargano came back, he would be heavily celebrated, you know, but the Duke is not the Undertaker of AIW. Like no.
Who would you even march out? Who would you march out like the Undertaker's squadron came out? Who would come out?
I don't know. The Duke doesn't have like a friendship clique, you know.
Beef Stew would Beef Stew be back?
No. Beef Stew Lou. He came for Ray Rose farewell.
Yeah,
that was the first time I seen him in a long time. I didn't know how it was gonna go, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, who would
maybe okay? J
Jack
Pro.
Sampson. No.
No, not J Pro come out. J Pro maybe the closest to we have to the Undertaker.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. Josh Prohibition Taker. I'll take that one over the Duke.
And then certainly people would come out to celebrate him.
I would think. Yeah, I would think so.
You'd have your M-Dog obviously would be out there. I'm trying. There'd have to be some crazy.
We're getting off topic here. I just wanted to talk about how fucking weird it was. Like, I put the network back on my TV, and I'm like, I take the bait on the Undertaker thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you got to watch it. Like, something's gonna happen. There's gonna be some kind of angle. Something cool's got to happen, and nothing cool happened. It was really uncomfortably weird, and yes, but
they made all those guys clear the ring. That was the weird thing. Why did they even come out?
I will say the best thing about that is I went, man, Henry Godwin looks like he is ready for a run in jail at 2021. That's what I was thinking. That's the only thing that I thought of watching the whole Undertaker thing. It's the only positive thing I thought of.
They both looked all right.
Yeah, but Henry Godwin looks like he just beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I watched a couple of the documentaries that I haven't seen in a while, and I was like, okay, you know, like the Randy Orton Undertaker thing was cool.
Oh yeah.
I feel like maybe I watched another one. I don't know. And
did you watch the Stone Cold Taker chat?
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't think it was that good. You know, after a while, it was just kind of, you know, it just dragged on. Mm-hmm. But then I started watching some old ECW stuff, and now my brain started like clicking back into different things that maybe we should do, and I'm getting like a plan together. That's what I was doing like all this weekend. I watched like weird random shows like CyberSlam 97 and the night the line was crossed again, or part 2, or whatever the fuck it's called. And so, you know, I started getting some ideas and trying to lay some things out and, you know, write some stuff down. And that way we have like, it's not like okay, you can do shows again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, now what? Which we could do shows right now. Like people randomly will send me messages and be like, hey, did you see blah, blah, blah? Like, is announced a show? And I said, well, we can do a show. Like, you're allowed to do a show right now, but you know, it's just like what's, like I said, a couple weeks ago, it's just like, what's the point of getting, of just, it's like a double-edged sword sort of thing. And like, I'm sure you saw it when you did that comedy festival. Like, people aren't really, like, there are people that want to come out, but there are just as many people, if not more, that don't want to come out. And it's just, you're running the risk of splitting your audience, and then, but then it's just like, I don't know, like,
and it's got to be at a place that you can have a big enough audience for it to make sense, because inherently there's going to be less people. And
right.
So, like, we could do a no audience show at the Odeon, but like,
yeah, and like,
that's gonna look crappy.
And I don't know, like, I'm sure maybe that could be arranged, but I don't know, like, I just don't think it's worth it. I think I don't get excited about something like that. Like, I like the energy of a live show. I like the moments, like the crowd, all that stuff. Like, but
that's the thing. I'll say that's the difference between. There are a lot of similarities with comedy and wrestling, but there are differences too. Like, we've talked about on here the optics of what a spaced out crowd looks like on camera for wrestling. Well, in comedy, you're not recording this stuff. We don't have that.
Well, and if it's recorded, it's like dead on the stage, so it really doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter the audience, but the comic, as a comic, like, we still feed off of that energy, and it is still weird. But the one thing I noticed was that even though people are spaced out and there were a lot less people, the people that are there are more tuned in. So, like, you get their energy even more. Like, it's the people who are coming
they're more engaged.
Yeah, they have the best kinds of energy coming toward you. So you get that, but it is still kind of weird because that energy is so spaced out. It's like the way you get the laughs, similar to like crowds trying to chant at a wrestling show. That part then is similar. It's like, it doesn't all come and hit you. It doesn't hit the stage at the same time. The same way, people cheering doesn't hit the ring all at the same time like it used to. So there's that, but you can still feel the audience being much more engaged in terms of comedy. So it's like that was nice. That is different than where in previous years, or whenever you'd have a comedy show and people are packed, you'd always get drunk people who are in there just because they wanted to get drunk at something, and then they think that they're part of the show.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, it's just it's I go back and forth on stuff like that, because it's just like, I like the you've sold these tickets, it's it gives you reassurance of whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
But then you look and like, like Black Label has had lots of, they've had fans just sponsor the show straight up with, my cat is in the way of the microphone.
Hello, Whiskers.
My cat interrupted there. But, you've had Black Label, like they've had, tons of fans sponsor, or like, GCW over the weekend, like it was like, over $10,000, like well over $10,000 of just donated money. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we would get that. Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't, but like, I just don't know, like I look at it like, I don't want to turn off our regular ticket buyers when we do come back. I don't want to cut that. I don't want to cut whatever we built up in half or a third, or, I don't want to lose that. But then, you look at like, I don't know, like that's, we're not gonna sell, $10,000 worth of tickets or whatever, or, so it's just like, what's the right plan? And then, you also got to look at it, and it's just like, I don't know that our fan base would support us like that. So it's just, it's also strange. And you really, especially during COVID, I think this is happening to wrestlers as much as promoters, is like you're really caught up in the, like what everybody else is doing, and will that happen to, like, could I do that too? And I think what I'm looking most forward to post COVID, when things are normal, is you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Like you get locked in on what you're doing and what you're pushing forward. But like, it's really hard to, like, right now you just look around and you're like, well, look at all that money and look at all that money. And, we're, hoping that, like, we could sell, a couple DVDs and make, $100 or something, like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but, we also, are, like, I have a job, so I don't need to make the money, so yeah. Like, it's just hard for me to figure out, like, what the balance is on this whole thing, and what, it's like FOMO or whatever. It's just like maybe AIW could be doing that, and then it's like, at what cost? Maybe we couldn't, maybe it would make somebody mad, maybe we'd lose fans, maybe, there's just so much, for every pro I can come up with, a con, and vice versa.
Well, and to your point, what works for a GCW, what works for a Black Label Pro, like, great for them, but it doesn't always necessarily work for AIW, and vice versa. That's the nature of the beast, and nature of where you are in terms of the lay of the country and the audience that you've built up for years and years. That's how it is. There are things that differentiate you, which is great, because then if every single promotion was the exact same, things would be pretty stale and pretty boring. They wouldn't all be doing well, obviously, pre-COVID. You wouldn't have fans of so many of them, or you wouldn't have people who are fans of every single one, which is sometimes the case. So, and then you have to look at, the market with which we're in. GCW has a lot of East Coast fans. Black Label is not too far from Chicago, and they're kind of over in, like, Northwest Indiana, and it's like a cost of living is a thing. So our fans, our home base, as people know, Cleveland,
it's not a big market.
Yeah, we don't make a ton of money here. People don't. Like, you could have the same job here that you have in New Jersey, and you'd probably be making $25,000 less than what you make. Then that's a rough estimate and a guess, and that's probably on the low end guess. So you'd be making much less because things cost less here. And there's also still a lot of manufacturing and blue-collar jobs here, and people aren't necessarily able to afford, especially right now. Our fans may not have that
and that's
disposable income.
That's really what, ultimately, like, made me want to pull the plug on everything, not only with the COVID numbers and everything, but it's just like, I don't know, like, the unemployment numbers, and there's all this stuff going on, and it's just like,
you want people to feel like they're still getting their dollar's worth.
Yeah.
And while sponsoring a wrestler or sponsoring us is great, are they getting that same value that they would if we were having a show?
Yeah, and, like, I just really like the moments of a show. Like, I don't know. I've been doing this for a long time. Like, I don't need to just do a show to do a show. Like, I felt like that, when COVID was going on and everything was going on, like,
yeah,
I really felt like I needed to do it, but I don't know, like,
it felt good. But I think now what we've seen too,
it felt good because there was tickets being sold. I don't know that I would get that same excitement to just do a show, because, like, I watched, I watched Raw, and it's just like, this is just weird, and, like, it's weird, and I don't like the no fan stuff.
We're not building the Thunderdome inside the Odeon, folks. It's not happening.
But, like, it's just, there's just not, I don't know, there's just no excitement there. So, but, to bring it full circle, I started watching stuff, and I started coming up with a plan that I think will work for us and our market and our fan base. And, and I know that we have fans that aren't just exclusive to Cleveland, but, for the most part, that's our bread and butter and our base. And I don't really like to stray from that too much. And, that is why we're in an okay position, financially we can return. And, it's just, I don't like straying and taking too many unnecessary risks. So, but I did this weekend I watched like a ton of wrestling that I liked as a fan, when I was younger. And it's just kind of like reignite that weird things. And it's just like, oh, we can do shows like this because of this. And I don't know, it's just, it's hard to keep your head in the game, but I feel like, this weekend just, because it's easy, I want to watch a movie or, when AIW is going on, all the time, it's just the last thing I want to do is study and watch more wrestling. And because it's just an everyday thing. But now, it's okay, now I want to watch wrestling. I want to, kind of get back in that mindset and get, just, I don't know, reignite whatever it is. Because when you're in the thick of it and AIW has regular schedule, it's just all right, I would like to really watch this TV show or this movie and kind of punch out for a little bit. But right now I'm kind of feeling the opposite and kind of feeling like going all in and watching things and, just researching and all that other stuff. I mean, it probably sounds boring to some people, but it's just it's really hard to keep your, just keep it, everything moving forward right now.
Are you, the one thing that I know that you're doing, and this will excite some people at least, is, because you said research, finding those names to bring in.
Oh, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that research going on
for even just one good time.
Yeah, I got a lot of, I've been it's funny. It's just I'm taking notes and be oh, well, maybe this one wouldn't work at the Odeon, but this would work. We could do something like this at the Tadmore Shrine, or we can do something like this at the Winchester. And, it's just, it's exciting to kind of have ideas not mapped out, but kind of when it is time to go, hey, let me pull, this or this idea, out of the fucking box, and, we can do something. So, that's exciting. And, I've been showing up at the school again a little bit more frequently, and just kind of get myself, involved in different things and, trying to work on all the AIW social media stuff, trying to grow the Facebook and the Instagram and getting back to uploading things on YouTube again. Because, that kind of went away, when the monetization dropped down and stuff. And, but now I'm just kind of fuck it. Who cares? We could there's still positives in growing these different things, even though there's not a big financial gain, or Facebook and Instagram, there's no financial gain. But if we can continue to cultivate fans, especially outside of our core, I think when we do come back, there's a lot of potential to do more shows, not necessarily oh, we're just going to do one in Cleveland, maybe there'll be, 2 a month or whatever, right. I'm just so excited right now. I want to run such a heavy schedule against everything that I ever think, I know it's probably not going to happen, and it's against all of my, business beliefs or whatever. But right now, I'm ready to just when we're clear, to run every fucking weekend. But I know that we can't do it, but I'm trying to come up with different things, and different scenarios.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know this is something that we've talked about. Is there thought to doing a weekly AIW show that's maybe even like it's a taped thing, but AIW gets aired somehow, somewhere every week? Maybe it's just an hour show and it all builds to these bigger shows.
Well, not necessarily, but
Okay.
there are ideas like, doing a show like every, whatever third whatever day of the month, we always do a show here, whatever, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter who else is fucking running, whatever, just different things like that. Like I do want to produce more content, obviously more original content, be it for Patreon or YouTube or IWTV or whatever, but I want to, like, I don't want to roll that out now, because I feel like, I really feel like, especially after doing the 2 shows, I feel like just everything in COVID wrestling is just so forgettable because of how the days blur and everything just...
Sure.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't want to, like, roll out all this stuff and put in all this effort for it to be forgotten.
Yeah.
I do think we should do more stuff, and, that's really reliant on getting, like, the whole team involved and, all the kind of, like, different people, be it from the school and everywhere else that is closely associated with everything. But I want to do it when, like, I want to get a plan for it now, but I don't want to execute that plan until it matters, until it becomes, a promotional tool and everything else, like, to where we have shows and there's a reason why we're putting this content out. Like, I don't want to just put content out just to put content out because, it's COVID or whatever. And,
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I just think that I think that barbed wire match from Indianapolis was crazy. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we would have waited maybe after COVID and did that at the Odeon instead, it would have been a lot more memorable than what it is right now. And I think that just goes to everyone, nobody's caring about anything that's going on, whether it's wrestling or, I don't think anyone gave a shit about the World Series or the fucking NBA Finals or, everything else. It's just kind of like, okay, whatever, like nothing. I don't think anything is like registering and clicking with people, be it any sort of entertainment or sports or whatever.
It's funny that you say that because, of all people, LeBron James was doing this podcast that Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye, and Allie Clifton do, the Road Trippin' Pod, and they started when they were all here in Cleveland. But so LeBron was on it recently, and even alluded to the fact that players from the Los Angeles Lakers, when they won the NBA Finals, these guys who won their first championship ever didn't really get it or feel it. Like, LeBron was like, there's no parade. Like, you party in the locker room, but then there's no, like in Cleveland,
fans,
they went. Cleveland on the way home, they take a flight, they stop in Vegas, and then they get off the plane, and the fans are going crazy, and then there's the parade, and then there's the party after the parade. And he's like, all this stuff isn't happening, and these guys are just like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And he's like, no, like, you're not getting it. Like, you won a championship.
And that's the thing. I just think everything is just so forgotten, and. Yeah. And that's no disrespect to anybody that's performing right now or anyone that was on the 2 AIW shows. It's just things are just not registering, I feel, from just, watching from afar and doing those 2 shows. And as much as, like, happiness that it brought all of us, like, once you've kind of moved on from that situation and you're looking at it for what it is, like, nobody's saying a fucking thing about that first show in Indianapolis. The I Assure You Were Open. Like, I know they're going to put it on IWTV soon, but and the same goes with Thunder in Indianapolis. Like, there's some good stuff on that. Like I said, I said on Twitter, it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot worse. It wasn't my favorite show by any means. But I just think that things are going to be a lot more memorable once we've moved beyond this pandemic. And I realize that maybe things are never going to be totally normal again, but I know that we are capable of putting out a good product, an exciting product. But why am I going to waste that just to do it? I don't know. Like that's just where I'm at right now. Like, and my mindset on this whole thing flip flops by the day. And, I know a couple weeks ago we were talking about how, we were all really down and we needed to do these shows and we did it. But now, that it's out and we've lived it and kind of see the repercussions or whatever, that's probably not the right word, but the fallout from it all. And it's just like, Bishop and Justice and Fonzie and West, they like put their entire bodies on the line. And, a lot of it had to do with, time, and they had to get right into it. And there was a lot of factors that went into why the match did not go totally according to plan. However, they threw a lot of crazy shit in there in a small amount of time. And nobody even remembers it happened, really. Like, as sad as that sounds, like, it's just like, no one's talking about it. No one's like saying like, man, these are, and that goes for really everything that's going on. Like, no one's like, man, this is like the great matches during COVID, whether it be AEW or WWE or anywhere else. I think this whole era is going to be forgotten. And it's just like, fuck it. Like, why? And I came up with a lot of good ideas of how to keep people engaged, which I'm not going to blow here, but I know that you're aware of. We came up with different non-fan things and really detailed things to try to put out there, and we were working on. And it's just, in retrospect, I'm glad that they didn't happen, because they would have cost money and they would probably be forgotten. And I think that's just, it's unfortunate, but I think that there's a lot of just everything is forgotten, and it's not just wrestling. It's just everything right now.
It's perspective, right? We are finding that there's so much going on in our lives on a daily, weekly basis. Everybody across the board during this year, during 2020, more so than other years. A lot of it because of the pandemic. It's adding extra things. Somebody's family member is sick, and now, of course, you're more concentrated on that. And there are so many other things that have popped up that have taken people's focus, rightfully so. Then, what is entertainment? It's across the board. It's just, it puts things into perspective that while it's great to have, it's where it used to be a fun escape and release, and you can breathe a sigh of relief, and then maybe it put you in a better mood to move forward, right? So like, fans maybe came to an AIW show and they were having a tough month or couple months, and man, they were really juiced up for the show, had a great time, lifted up their spirits, and now they're positive going forward. Well, in this environment, we left that show, and while it was great for a weekend, it comes back to reality much quicker and much harder. We went right back to sitting inside our homes, not doing very much, and more bad news coming. And
I think that's ultimately what, why everything's so forgotten. It's like, oh man, this cool thing happened. Like, look at all the death numbers. Look at all the COVID numbers. Look at all this other stuff. Like, and it's just,
it's been a year of negativity. Just
it wipes
away.
Yeah, it just wipes whatever good stuff happened clean. Like, look at the Collective. Like, there was so much great wrestling over all those shows at the Collective, and then like, oh, so and so has tested positive for COVID, and then everybody forgets about everything they saw, and they're like, shit, I was at the Collective, I have to go get a test. And that quickly just takes away all the release or whatever the point of the events were, you know what I mean? And I'm happy, like, I'm still happy we did it, but, you know, just looking back now, it's just like everything just feels like it is so forgotten because of all of the other factors that are going on in the world. And, you know, it's crazy, you know, it's just crazy. And like, I don't know, you know, and like I will probably contradict myself for the next weeks of this podcast a zillion times because I flip-flop on it, you know, all the time. It's like I want to do a show, but then it's just like the reality is like I don't know. I think it's forgotten, and then, you know, like everyone's like, man, like, you know, guys on the roster or students or fans are like, man, look, this show just got announced and it's in Ohio, and just like, yeah, we could do a show, but like, I don't know, like now we do have that perspective of we did too, and now we know, you know, like what the, you know, the I don't know, the pros and the cons and the benefits and the, you know, just the negativity, and I want AIW to do things that are moments and memorable, and I don't even necessarily care about good wrestling, you know, like AIW is way less about, you know, it's got to be this great wrestling. It's more about like a moment, you know, like ICP coming out and beating up 40 Acres or, you know, just different things like that. So where you need a crowd for that to happen because that's how it registers and that's how people remember, and like, you know, meet and greets and all these different things, like that stuff makes long-lasting impressions, and long-lasting impressions breed repeat customers, and, you know, you get that loyalty and that, you know, that really hardcore fan base. And I don't know that what AIW does works in this current climate of the world, and I don't think there's any better example of that than throwing that No Ropes Barbed Wire match out there, and really just nobody is raving about the risks that they took. Nobody is, you know, just nobody even remembers what happened, and I think that's really just based on what's going on in the world. You know, like in Ohio, we get fucking 2 to 3 press conferences a week, and it's always bad. It's always, you know, it's always getting yelled at, and it's just, you know,
there's still people who need to get yelled at. That's what sucks. But yeah,
it is what it is. So it's just like, you know, let's just see how this plays out. And I have a good feeling that things will be a little bit more acceptable and ready to roll early in 2021. I mean, that's just a total guess, though, just based on how things are going.
Yeah, for those who don't know, at least in Ohio, I don't know what the story is nationally, but we are supposed to start rolling out vaccines this month, within a couple of weeks here of this podcast. Yeah. So there's that, hopefully. I think to best paint the picture of what you're talking about, to me, there are 2 moments that you can compare. If you look back to J-Lit 2019, that finals, when you've got Justice, Manser, and Nick Gage all in there, and it's like that first minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, and it's just them in the ring, and you've got a packed crowd, and that anticipation is just
energy.
There. It's just energy, and it's just people chanting for like 2 minutes, and these guys haven't even come near each other yet, and that's all right there. And like, to me, that's what I would have looked for, or that's what I would have been hoping for with the No Ropes Barbed Wire and those beginning moments, because here's this story in AIW lore and history that's been built up to for a year plus between Justice and Bishop, and this is the culmination of it. And you've thrown in Wes Barkley, and you've thrown in Fonzie, and it's all come to a head, and it's all become a part of this, and this is how it's got to end. And I just feel like you're right. If we had been in the Odeon, we would have had those two staring each other down across this ring that is surrounded in barbed wire at this point, and just staring at each other, and people losing their minds, and nothing has even happened yet. You know, Fonzie trying to get in there, and Bishop going after him, and Justice keeping an eye on Wes Barkley, like all of that stuff, and these guys circling, like you didn't get to get that. You didn't get that natural, immediate build just because you felt the audience's energy of what was about to happen.
Yeah, it's just I know that there's a lot of factors that, obviously that we've just gone over, but ultimately that show was a reality check for me that, maybe AIW ain't what I think it is sometimes, and it's not a sure thing, and it's not always going to be a home run for us. And I think in 2019 in Jersey City, we caught lightning in a bottle, and I thought that was going to be a sure thing, and maybe it would have been in Tampa with the same ideas with no COVID, but it obviously was not in Indianapolis. And there's a lot of obviously other factors that go into why it's not, but it was a reality check for me because we are such a well-oiled machine, and the machine was not well-oiled at all that night. And one day we'll review that show, but along with all the other ones that we've put off to this point, but it just was kind of a slap in the face that, like, hey, like it's not a just go out there and it's a surefire thing. And I think we all needed it. I don't know if the reality check was as a parent for others as it was for me. I do know that, a lot of people like the show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. But I'm saying for what my expectations were, it did not come anywhere close to what my expectations were. And a lot of it is because of COVID and everything else. And I think that it needed to happen, because if we did hit a home run or whatever you want to call it, of course, we're not going to remove ourselves from the situation, and we're going to do hell on earth. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think it worked out for the best. I mean, hopefully when we do come back, and, I know that there's people that were offended that we even did the 2 shows, and maybe they'll never support us again. But, I do think that it was a good lesson on, from multiple angles, for all of us. And I think that, it just really cemented, like, hey, like, we have to wait for Cleveland. We have to wait till we could do a decent capacity, because what we do doesn't necessarily work everywhere and is easy to, achieve the reaction that we think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that says it all right there. I think we can wrap this one up and tie a bow on it here as we come to the holiday season with that sentiment. Let me ask you this to end it. Because of that, will you ever consider running no ropes barbed wire back?
I mean, I don't know. It's really hard on their bodies. I mean,
sure.
I gave them substantial bonuses, to do it, well above the budget, which they did not ask for, but I did it because I felt that's what was right. But I don't know, like it would have to be the perfect storm.
The juice has got to be worth the squeeze.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just I think that that was a mistake. That match was built in Cleveland with two Cleveland guys. Like it should have been blown off in Cleveland, and that was that's my mistake, and I can admit that was a wrong move for them. Like for AIW, for those guys, they went out there and they gave it everything that they could do, but the perfect moment is doing that in Cleveland, like you said, at the Odeon or somewhere bigger with our base that knows everything that's going on and is wound up and excited and didn't already see 3 shows that day. There's there's just there's a lot going on. So, and like I said, my mindset on everything I'm sure will change a million times, no matter, depending on how much longer we have to do this for. It's going to change,
Well, if you folks have not watched it yet, go back, go to Iwtv. It's on there right now. If you don't have an Iwtv subscription, you can sign up using the code ABSOLUTE, get a 5-day free trial. Watch it that way. Let us know what you think at AI Wrestling on every form of social media. And there are awesome moments in this show on there. And, look, John is the biggest critic of AIW, so bar none. And, let us know what you thought of No Ropes Barbed Wire. But let us know, too, take the time to watch, because as we talk about things getting glossed over, man, there's an incredible triple threat in this show between Alex Shelley, Lee Moriarty, and Trey Lamar that I think if people watched it maybe any other year, to John's point, would have held its own and stood up to so many matches that have been seen throughout the year. So that's worth your viewing, as well as a lot of other really good and cool. I mean, there's an intense battle between Manser and Brickster that just gets chaotic. So there's a lot there to take in. Let us know what you thought of Thunder in Indianapolis. Watch it again. Watch it for the first time.
Yeah, make me feel better about it, because but like I'm always going to look at things that could be better. And before we sign off, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that reached out to me. I tweeted, I found out earlier last week that my dad has been diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
And a lot of people reached out to me, and I ignored a lot of you. I apologize for that. I wanted to put that out there just so people would know why I was ignoring people. It was very unexpected news, so I do appreciate that. I'm real bad with that stuff, so I was just kind of processing it on my own, and I thought putting that out there would kind of make people realize why I was off the grid a little bit, but I just wanted to apologize to people that I did not get back to, and there's a lot of you. I do appreciate it, but yeah, I mean that's a weird little information to get, I guess. It's unexpected.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course. I think everybody, all of us, wishing him the best and hoping for your best outcome there, man. That's weird information.
Super weird. So
you talk about adding more stress to everything that's going on. There it is. Let's get the hell out of 2020, John Thorne.
Yeah, I mean, really hitting it hard in the month to close it out strong for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anything you want to add here?
No, I mean, just if you could support us. Obviously.
Yeah. If
you can't, I understand. The holidays are here. There's a lot of people that are out of work, and we're gonna be okay, I think.
Can I throw out a thing that maybe people don't realize is a huge support? When you go ahead and like things that AIW posts or tweets or whatever, that's great, and we appreciate it, and you comment on it. We love that. When you watch us on IWTV, we love that. When you purchase a DVD, we love all that. But one of the ways that you can really support us that I think we don't push enough to you, because people always ask us, how can I help? Man, tell every single person that you know that even kind of likes wrestling that they need to watch AIW. There are a ton of, if they don't want to sign up for an IWTV subscription, there are a ton of matches that are more current, more recent, for free on Facebook and on our YouTube. They can find it. There's so much out there for people to watch. And John talked about us needing to grow, and the hope of posting that stuff is to grow while we're not running shows, so that when we come back, we've even built a bigger fan base. And I know people are so proud to be AIW supporters, but we need you to be even more vocal than ever about that pride that you have in us.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's another thing I've been researching on, and it's all about like these algorithms and everything else. And, you know, it never hurts. Like the more that you like or you comment, even if you have nothing to say, really, it doesn't matter. Like, it helps then put that stuff in other people's feeds and, you know, helps it get out there. So, you know, even if you've watched, you know, whatever match is on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, just clicking that little, you know, thumbs up on whatever is out there, or leaving a little comment.
Hit the share button.
Yeah, I mean, even share, but, you know, just it needs to be a concentrated effort from everybody. Whether you're a podcast listener or, you know, a wrestler or a student or, you know, whoever, a fan, you know, that's the only way that we are going to be able to grow and break through and, you know, cultivate this an audience outside of our Northeast Ohio core, which I know we do have lots of people spread out all over, but, you know, the only way that we can continue to grow that, and, you know, especially in 2021, when we can hopefully come back full steam, is to get these social media numbers up and get more people paying attention and, you know, just following what we do. So, you know, I have, you know, we have 157,000 subscribers on YouTube. I would love to get that to 1 million. I don't know how to get that to 1 million, but it's definitely a possibility. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell everyone you know to subscribe. I don't know what that number means. You know, they sent me a nice plaque in the mail, though, so I would like to get another plaque to hang on my wall. So, but yeah, like I just want to grow these socials, and you know, I don't know, like Facebook, you got to pay to utilize everyone that likes it, but I mean, whatever, you know, it just, every little bit helps. Algorithms. I've been trying to watch like weird documentaries on, you know, algorithms and how these different things work, and read a bunch of articles. It makes no fucking sense to me. But, you know, the one thing that they all say is, you know, any like more interaction on the things gets you put in more feeds, and same goes for this podcast. Please give us a 5-star review. Write a review. It helps get our stuff kind of, you know, in front of more eyes.
There you go. So grow those numbers, folks, and then maybe we'll talk about a holiday special.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's going to do it for us here on this episode. For AIW owner John Thorne, my name is Steve Guy. We will talk to you next week right here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change.